Hello. Welcome to the stream. It's your host, Cyberdragon, otherwise known as Peter. Today, we are going to do some logic for elimination race games. So, if you've ever played the game Fall Guys, where you're racing along an obstacle course and you need to reach the finish line and be in a majority before the other players, and if you don't make it in, say, the top half or 3/4 of the number of players racing, you get eliminated. If you don't make it in time as well, you get eliminated. So that's the kind of mechanic we're going to be working on this stream and also next week. It's quite a big logic chain, so it will require a couple of streams to go through it all. But what we're going to do is just set it up today and have a little obstacle course, nothing too dramatic because it's all about the logic here and not the level design itself. And yeah, hopefully you can build some elimination race type games in the metaverse yourself. So we'll dig in and yeah, I got a little cheat sheet on Paint as well because I created this already. Took a couple of months, not just the logic for this that I'm about to show you, but to piece it all together and problem solve. So yeah, got that to help me today. How are you, chat? Nervex, welcome. Tom Voxel. T. Gerino. Mike is a little on the quiet side, is that right? I did turn it up, so I don't know why it's still quiet. I just want to make sure the right mic is connected. Yeah. Don't know why it's quiet. Can't help you there. It's turned all the way up for me, so not too sure. Maybe I can turn this knob over here. Is that better? I don't know. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Not that bad? Alright, good. As long as you can hear my words, you may not be able to have your volume on low. You may do need to turn it up. But yeah. Alright, let's dig in. So, for this one, we don't need to duplicate the spawn point. And we can just keep the one spawn point and have as many players as we want coming into the lobby. And what I've figured out with the map size of a 1x1 is that we can have 3 levels for an obstacle course, or 4 if you want a small lobby area. But if you want to have a big lobby, then 3 levels is probably the way to go. Let's bring out the metaverse, the meta black block, this one here, and you hold down control, or is it alt? Yep, you push alt, hold alt on the keyboard on the right hand side and click, and then you can fill a whole area in one go. So hope that's helpful. And yeah, we'll move this up as well. So we just want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you can have like a gap of 20. And then what you can do is hold Alt and just do another floor. And you can hold Shift if you just want to do an estimate. Hold Alt and fill it up. And then that's your 3 floors for the obby race. And then we can do the lobby on this floor here. And then we can teleport the players to whatever floor we need for the obstacle course or elimination race or whatever you want to call it. But we'll isolate the area over here, and we'll start setting up some logic and variables for the player. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create collectibles and create a local variable. And we're going to assign the player a local number that's unique while they're racing. So we'll go ahead and just put something down as a collectible, and we'll just do a basic asset. We'll just do this one over here, and we'll remove the default behaviors and components, and we're going to add a multiplayer collectible component. For this one, we only want one instance, so the first player to pick it up, it will disappear. So we're going to keep that as true. If you want everyone to be able to pick one up, which is not going to be relevant for this one, you can turn it to false. We want to collide with it to pick it up. And what we want to do is send a message to the rule system, or we can have all, and we'll say player collection, player added, whatever you want. Player collected, and what we want to do is have a message argument attached to that one, and we want to add a number, player number. So now we can add a player number, and this one will be player 1. We can duplicate that, and this one here can be player 2. We can duplicate this one, and this one will be player 3. We're just going to do 5 for this example, but what you want to do is duplicate this as many times as you need for how many players you want to be in your race. So if you want a maximum of 10 players, you'll make 10 copies of these. If you want 20, and so forth. So what we're doing here is when a player collects this object, it's going to send a message player collected with the value of 1. And if they pick up this one, it will send a message player collected with the value of 2. We do want to send that somewhere, so we're going to go ahead and open our rule system, and we're going to add a number here. And that number here is going to be players joined, and it's going to be 0 by default. And then we're going to do another one, and we're going to have another number, and this one's going to be a local number, and this one is player number. Okay, we're going to add a rule system for this one, which is a math rule. And what we're going to do is use the player collected message argument. And what we're going to do is we're going to add 1. So we're going to add 1. So 1 plus the variable of players joined to equal players joined. And then we're going to check players joined. So after a player joins, it's going to add 1 to the players joined variable to keep track of how many players have joined your race. And then we're going to check how many players have joined. We don't want the race to begin unless it hits your minimum requirement. You don't want one player to pick it up and they're the only player in the race. You maybe want to have it so the race only begins when there's 2 players or 3 or more. And this is the way to do it. So all you do is now do a comparison, and we're going to compare numbers. And we're going to do the check players joined. And we're going to check players joined. And if it equals 2, greater than or equals to, say 2, then we can say start race countdown. And that will be for the players joined. So it's good to keep your logic labeled so you can find it easily in the hierarchy. Next, we want to do the usual where we always add an event, and that event is on player join. We're going to put in HUD, and we'll put that up here. And next, we're going to add the game screen HUD. So when a player joins, a HUD will show up straight away, and we can show different variables. For this one here, we're going to just show a local player, just so we can keep track of it and see if it's actually working. So when we pick up a asset, it will show us if the local number is changing, and we can keep track of that. So when player collects an object, not only do we want to add one to players joined, but we want to set their local number as well. So what we can do here is we're going to replace variable value, and we're going to set number value. So we'll put that over here. So we're going to have a player collected, and we're going to change their local number to be the message argument. So what's happening here is when an object is picked up where they can join a race, it has a number attached. So over here, when this is picked up, the message player collected is sent, and there's a variable attached to it as well. We're using that variable to set the local number. So each racer will have their own individual number, so we can differentiate from player to player. And this is the way to do it. So when I collect one of these, we're going to set the local number, and we're going to add one to players joined. Next, we're going to put at the bottom here the players joined, and what we want to do is not show the value, but show the value max. And what we want to do here is just say if there's a maximum of 8 races, or in our case 5, we want to show at the bottom how many people have joined a race or in a race. So we'll go ahead and save this, and we're going to do a quick test just to pick up one of these and see what variables change on our HUD before we move on to the next area. Hey, Play Game for Fun, welcome. Herex, you cheeky advertising your experience in chat. That's okay, no issues. All right, so you can see at the bottom, players joined is 0 of 5, and our local number in the top left corner is 0. If we pick up one of these, this one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if I pick up number 5, you can see now our local number is 5, and the players joined is 1 of 5. If someone else picked up this one, their local number will be 4, and you can see at the bottom, players joined 2 of 5. Now, to prevent the players from picking up multiple, you'll be teleporting them when they pick that up as well. So teleportation to the battle area. Well, not battle area, but race area. So what we can do is when this is picked up, we can have something over here. I'll go ahead and put this down. We're going to get a numpad out. We'll just use the default numpad. And what we can do here is have a teleport component. And when a player collects it, we're going to say race 1. So race 1 is where they'll get teleported to. We don't want any collisions on this asset, and we really don't want to see it either. And the destination we're going to teleport to is to this numpad, which is itself. So when a player collects it, it will send a message to this teleport, and the players should be able to teleport directly on it. But let's test it out. And there we go. So now we've technically joined race 1 as a player racer number 3. And we'll go ahead and just put, I don't know, some fence area here. And this will pretty much be our race area. And when a race begins, this can be killed off, and then the races can start. And then we can have something here, which will be our finish line, but we'll add that logic very, very soon. Don't want to jump too forward. But that's the beginning of how to set something up that's collectible and teleport the players into the first race area and track how many players have joined. Cool. Next, we want to add a new variable. That variable is going to be a time variable. The The reason we want a time variable, and it will be global so everyone can see it, is countdown. So we want a countdown for the race to begin after players have joined. So if we want at least 2 players to join, then we can start race countdown. But since we're testing on our own, we only want 1 for the race to begin. But if you don't want the countdown to start until there's at least 2 races, you keep this as 2. All right, so once 1 player has joined, we can send a message start race countdown. So what we can do here is we're going to add a rule, and we're going to go down under the time category, and we're going to start timer. And that start timer will start with the start race countdown. What we want to do is start the countdown with the time variable, and we can do any amount. We'll do 8 seconds, and when it reaches the end, we want to start race 1. Start race 1 will begin. And what we can do here is we can delete these with plant. Not ideal, but this is just a quick example. And we can say start race 1. Perfect. And I will show you what this does. So we're going to join up. All right, we want to actually see the race countdown. So let me quickly add that to our HUD. So we're going to have countdown. And now let's try that again. And you can see up at the top, we've got a race countdown. And when it hits 0, it deletes the fence, and we can actually start our race by releasing the players into the obstacle course. As you can see, our race countdown is 0. We actually want a race timer. So when the race begins, we can let the players know there's a certain amount of time before the time runs out for the race, because you don't want them racing forever, especially if there's people waiting in the lobby for the next race. What would be a better solution than using plant behavior on the fence to destroy, says Nervex. So what you technically want to do is make this experience loopable, meaning that you can reuse this fence. So you'll need to bring it back so the next time the race begins, it's there. If you use the plant behavior to plant component to delete it, it's gone. So you probably want to have asset spawners to bring it back out again. But ideally what you want to do here is instead of having start race 1 to have plants, what we'll have here is just have a tag on these fences with the tag fence, and what you do is add a actor property, and what actor property does is you can remove collisions and visibility and things of assets. So when we have start race 1, we can remove collisions and visibility on not on everybody, yeah, everyone in range, but what you want to do is specific tags in range, and that will be fence. So once the countdown is ended, the actor property will remove the collisions and visibility of the fence, so players can just race. And what you do here is duplicate this one. So you got 2 actor properties, and what you want to do is add the collision and visibility back when you reset race. So later on, when you want to loop the race, you send a message reset race to reset all the obstacle courses back to the original form. And all you're doing here is putting the collisions of visibility back on that fence. So now these fences don't need to be killed. They're just purely switching on and off the collisions of visibility as required. So we can go ahead with this method, and this will be the same thing now. So when I pick up the asset, you can see I'm in the starting area. My local number is 3. When the countdown hits 0, it will remove the visibility and collisions of defense. But now we have the option to bring it back easily with a message using actor properties. Good question. All right, next we want to set up a actual timer on the race itself. So what we can do here is, I don't know if we can use the same timer, but what we can do here is start race 1, and we can say start race 1 on a new start timer. We can use the same countdown, and what we can do here is have a typical race timer, maybe 2.5 minutes, or for however long you need for your race to begin. And what we can do here is trigger the elimination when it hits 0. So if you want the race to go for 2.5 minutes and no one reaches, or not enough qualifiers reach the end, we want to trigger elimination, and trigger elimination will set off a chain of logic for that as well. Also with the variable, with the timer, you can change it so the formatting has more zeros. More zeros makes it feel like the time is moving quicker and there's more urgency. So let's see that one in action, and let's see if the actual race timer works. So you can see up at the top now we have a race countdown. Okay, and you can see the race has now begun, and we have our own race countdown now, and that will give us 3 minutes, it looks like, to reach the end. And if not, we'll trigger the elimination. But what we actually want to do is change the HUD, because what we've got here is it says race countdown, but we want to duplicate this, and what we want here is to have race time left. So the difference with that is it will show time left, and down here we don't want players joined, we want qualified. And what we want here is to have how many people that can qualify in this race. So we'll need a new number variable to display that, and we can have qualifier, and we'll have to have some math for the qualifier so we know how many players can actually reach the end. It won't be a solid 5. It would probably be it'll probably be a variable, and what we can do here is have another variable called max qualified. So we need to track max qualified qualifier, so we can use these variables in the map formula, and we can have them as varied. So if we have 20 races in a single game, you want the max qualified to be varied depending on how many players have joined a race. So you want more players to qualify in race 1 if there's more races, and if there's only like 3 races, you probably don't want any eliminations on the first race. I'll show some more math for that in a moment. We need a different message here to trigger this. So what we can do here is race HUD. With the race HUD, you need to trigger it with a player input, meaning that it needs like a volume trigger, a speaker, or an asker, or anything interaction from the player directly. So we need something to come out for this race HUD, and what we can do here is send out a volume, trigger volume. So I'll go ahead and do a trigger volume, and when someone enters that volume, we want to send a message race HUD. Detection type, we can do the whole map. So the whole map will get the race HUD, or you can have it just for the people on this floor. So people in the lobby or other floors won't get the same HUD. and all you do is just spread this out throughout the experience, and you can chuck this in the middle of the map so it hits all the corners. And we want to send that message to the rule system itself, not to all, and every avatar in range is fine as well. Cool. And all we do now is label it race HUD, and we'll save that as a preset. Now that's saved as a preset, what we want to do is bring it out with an asset spawner, and we'll spawn that with start race 1. Start race 1, we want to bring out a preset, and that preset is race HUD. We also want to delete it so it's not there forever. So we'll bring out the preset again, and what we'll do here is delete it with plant behavior. And you can delete it with reset race. So once you reset the whole obstacle course, you can delete this for the next races. So we'll go ahead and save over that preset again, and that's done. Cool. So when a race begins now, the asset spawner will bring out that volume, which covers the whole race 1 floor, which then should trigger a different HUD more appropriate to the race. And what we can do here is hide that so we don't see your local number during a race. It's not really required. So I'll go ahead and save that one, and we'll test it out to see how it actually works in practice. And we'll iron out any bugs along the way. So go ahead and press tab. All right. So we'll go ahead and join a race. You can see at the bottom we have players joined. We got our race countdown up at the top. We can name it more appropriately. And you can see now that the race has begun. At the top it says time left. So now it's not about a confusing title for what the timer is for, because it's different from when we're waiting for the race to begin. And at the bottom, we can see qualified now. So it's not players joined, it's how many players can qualify in this race. We don't have any value there yet. We're going to have to add some math for that. But you can see this is the basic setup that we need to get like the flow happening for a racing game. Next, what we can do here is we can add another volume trigger at the finish line, and we'll make this a box, and we'll just make this as wide as it needs to be. Something like that. And we'll make it a bit thinner so it goes over the appropriate square. And when a player joins, not joins, but enters this area, we're going to make him qualified. So what we can do here is we can send a message qualified, and we probably want a message argument with it, I think. We can probably do it without it. That's fine. And we probably just want to send this to the rule system. I did not make this invisible, but we can do that. Makes no difference to the logic overall. That's just to keep things clean. All right. Now let's add some logic with the qualifications. So let me check that one on my cheat sheet quickly. There's quite a lot of logic here. All right, so the first thing we want to do is when a player joins, we want to trigger how much they can, how many can qualify per race, for instance. So if we go ahead and we did a math, so players joined, so player collected, it's going to add 1 to players joined. Cool. And then we're going to check to see how many players have joined. And if it's greater than 1, we're going to start race countdown. So that's cool. That all works. Next, we're going to do some math again. And that math here is for player collected again. So player collected. And what we want to do here is we're going to add a value of 1 to the variable max qualified. And that's going to equal max qualified. So when a player joins, it's going to add 1 to max qualified. And then we're going to check, we're going to check a race number. For this one. And we'll come back to that later. What else do we need to do? Elimination checks. So, so for instance, we got players joined and we're going to start race countdown. We also want to do an elimination check. So what we'll do here is compare numbers. Actually, we can do here elimination check. So what we can do here is have a send a message. So when we have start race countdown, we can also do elimination check or elimination calc or calculation. And we're going to send that to another math rule. And that math rule here will be elimination check or calc. And we want to check the variable players joined. So when players join a race, it adds 1 to players joined. And what we want to do is we're going to divide it by 2. And the result will be max qualified. And what we're going to do is add 1. And we're going to duplicate this. And we're going to make this one add 1. And what we're going to do is go to max qualified. And we're going to add 1 to equal max qualified. And that's it. So what we're essentially done here is whatever the total number of races are, it's going to divide that total by 2 and then add 1. And the reason for this is my calculation is if you have 4 players in a race, the max qualified will be 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And then we're going to add 1 to that value, which means 3. So the max qualifiers for the race will be 3 players. Now, if you have 1 player in a race, I don't think it will do the math properly. You need to have a minimum of 3 for it to make sense. So this is for more than 1 player. The game doesn't begin with 1 player, so the max qualifier won't really do anything. But if we quickly test this out, let's see if it actually does anything at the bottom. So the new HUD popped up, and you can see now at the bottom qualified is 0 out of 1. So it does make sense with a single racer, but again, it's just a player on its own, and they can't really get eliminated unless the timer runs out. Next, we want to make it so when a player enters this area, it will do 1 of 1 qualified at the bottom, pause the timer up the top, and then teleport the winners to the next level. So we'll go ahead and do that. Hey, NVIT guy, how's it going? All right, so so we've got qualified now. So we're going to send that message to the rule system. And what we'll do here is do a math rule. And we're going to send that qualified message. And what we want to do is we're going to add 1 to the variable qualifier. And we're going to make that the total. And then we're going to do a compare elimination. And we're going to do a comparison. We're going to compare numbers, and we're going to compare elimination. And we're going to compare if the qualifier, or what I should do here is change that to qualified. So is the qualified people or total equal to the variable of max qualified? So the max qualified is 1 of 1, or if it's 2 of 2. If you qualify, it's going to add 1 to the variable qualified, and if qualified is the total of max qualified, it means no more players can be qualified. So we're going to end a race there. So what we're going to do here is trigger elimination. So we've got 2 ways to trigger elimination. We'll bring this one down here. So it is next to each other. So here we'll have trigger elimination by time. And this one here, it's going to trigger elimination by max qualified. So these are 2 ways to trigger elimination in a race. When a time runs out, all the max people have qualified. We also need to give them a unique variable when they qualify. So what we can do here is we can do a local number for this one. And we're going to do elimination check. And what we'll do here is we're going to add a set number value. So when you do qualify by crossing over the finish line, we're going to make your elimination check variable 1. And that's for the purposes of teleporting the players that haven't qualified out of the race. And then it's going to teleport the winners in the qualified area to the next level. And this is the way to kind of juggle that process. All right, so that's that one. What else do we need to do? Okay, so when the timer runs out, we can trigger elimination. I think there was another problem with doing it directly. I think there had to have been a gap for some reason, and I can't remember what it was for. But that's for countdown. We can do countdown. But I think we need countdown, and we also need a race timer. So we can't share the same time variable because of the way we eliminate the players. when that countdown hits 0. And since we're using the same time variable, that will hit 0 a couple of times. One for when the race is about to begin, and once the race timer has begun. So what we'll do here, instead of having a countdown timer, we'll do a new timer for race timer. So they're separate, and we'll just make this one race timer. And what we'll do here is have a message saying that the timer has ended. And then what we can do is have a pause time function. So we can say, here we'll have a trigger elimination, and we'll say the race timer here is going to be paused when the trigger elimination is sent. So that one can be here for the max qualifier as well. So once the max qualified occurs, we want to pause the timer because the game or the race has ended, and we don't want the timer to keep ticking down. And then we can send message. So what we can do here is have timer end. And when the timer has ended, we can send a message, trigger elimination. So there are two functions for ending the time. And we'll see if that works. Can we have this one here working as well? Let's find out. So what we're going to test now is when the player crosses the finish line here, does it say 1 of 1 at the bottom, and does it stop the timer up the top? That's basically what we try to set up here. So we'll save and test. We'll pick up race number 5. We've been teleported. You can see our race countdown is done. And the time left did not begin. That's unfortunate. And I think that's because it should work, right? This one here is start race 1, and then start race 1 gets sent to here, and our race timer. So what we've done is we changed the variable. So I'm going to change it from countdown to race timer. And we can say race starts in, which makes more sense. So now at the top it says race starts in, it's counting down, players joined at the bottom, 1 of 5, our local number is 1, and now our race has begun. We've got time left at the top, and we've got qualified 0 of 1. If I cross over this line, it should pause the time up the top, and it has, and it's given us 1 of 1 at the bottom to say it's been qualified. Cool. So that is working. What would be useful is to give a message to the player in the form of a banner to let them know they've qualified. So something does happen for the player when they reach the end. So there's some sort of indication of what's happening. So we'll label this as HUDs. And we want to, I don't know, we'll have a banner. And when we do qualified for 2 seconds, we're going to show a text variable. So we're going to go ahead and create a text variable. It's going to be a local variable, and that name will be local text. And the value can be changed. We can just go ahead and do qualified. We can do race joined, something like that. But what we can also do is have a message argument as well. Whatever the case may be, there's no issues. But we got qualified, which is when the player crosses over. So qualified for 2 seconds, we'll send the message, local text, and it will say, qualified. Let's see if that works. And also, we need to teleport the players out of the race into the second level once they finished. So that should happen as well when the trigger elimination is sent. So trigger elimination, we want to compare their local elimination check number. If it's 1, that means they're qualified, and we'll TP them to the next floor. But let's see if this works out first. Hey Pickaxe, how's it going? Doing well, mate. How are you? All right, so we got now our local number is 4. The race will start in 0 seconds. And now you can see our time left is counting down. Qualified at the bottom is 0 of 1. When you pass the finish line, you can see that we have qualified. The qualified number at the bottom is 1 of 1. And the timer for the race has paused. Awesome. Looking forward to the next Game Maker updates. Yes, it's going to be fantastic. For your experience in particular, Bruno, you're looking forward to 0.12. 0.12 should be coming out at the end of the year, and it will have save functions. So anything that's in the rule system with variables saves automatically. So if a player alt F4s, whatever was in their rules at the time will be there again when they load up again. So you don't have to do manually add in resources back for players. It will be there all the time. Location will be saved as well, yeah, and there's workarounds for that too. It won't be the exact location, it will be like checkpoints. So yeah, for your experience in particular, it means that you can grind your minerals or have you know, pickaxe unlocks or masters or whatever the case may be, and it will always be there, so you don't have to start again each time. And I think that's pretty bullish in my opinion. It's going to change games in our sandbox dramatically. Like, that's a huge milestone, and it gives more emotional attachment to games because you can come back and keep grinding all sorts of things: experience, gold, levels, power-ups. Yeah. So yes, looking forward to the Game Maker updates indeed. But that will be closer to the end of the year. If there's delays, it might be January. All right, so what do we want to do now is TP to players when the max qualified has occurred. So there's 2 things we want to do. We want to teleport the players that haven't been who haven't qualified. So we need a middle step here. So what we'll do here is how do we do this again? We want to do an elimination check, right? So we've got that here. Elimination calc. No, this is elimination calc, and players joined, and maybe we can do eliminate losers first. So what we can do here is compare numbers. Then we can say elimination check. And if your elimination check is equals to 0, we're going to trigger TP. And then we can duplicate this one. And if it equals to 0, we can also do a banner to say you've been eliminated. So we've got qualified here. We can probably do one that doesn't require one individually. We can use like a message argument here. So we can say a local banner. And with the local banner, we can make it a message argument. And we want two values here. We want the text for the text, and we want a number for time. And what does this mean? It means that with the duration, we can have a message argument of whatever is in time, and the local text will be displayed. We also want to have a set function. So we want to set text value. And again, we're going to use the local banner, and we're going to use that text, and that text will be whatever's in the message argument. So this is the most ideal way, in my opinion. So when you send a message local banner, you can send it how long you want it to be displayed for, and you can also have the text that you want it to be displayed, all within the one argument. So when we do a message here, that's, where is it? Here. So we can say a local banner, and local banner, we can send the value of the text to say you have been eliminated, and the amount of time we want to show that is probably 3 seconds or 2 seconds, depending on what you want. So elimination check will be sent from a message, from a volume trigger, like what we did with the middle. So what we'll do here is elimination check. Yes, set to 0. So we need to have a volume that will send that out. So what we can do here is duplicate this asset spawner. This one here will be trigger elimination. And what we'll do is we'll bring out this race HUD preset, and we'll change the name to elimination check. And instead of race HUD, it will be elimination check. And we can we can kill it off with that. And we'll save that as a new preset. We'll probably just get rid of the collisions and visibility. And now that will come out at the end of a race, regardless if it's max qualified or time. And what it will do is that will pop out. And if your value is equals 0, it will say that you have been eliminated on the banner. And we also want to trigger TP if it equals 0. So if it's trigger TP, what we'll do here is we'll get our teleport. We will duplicate, and we're just going to bring this back up to the lobby area. And we're going to name this trigger TP. TP lobby is the name, and that's what we're going to change the destination to, so it teleports here. To test this out, we're going to change the amount of time the race is going to be, so it's short, and we will get eliminated and see that we get kicked out of the race. So here we got race 1 timer. So instead of how many minutes, we'll just do, say, 10 seconds. And we'll save. And we'll test this out. So when the race timer hits 0, it should kick us out of the race, teleport us back into the lobby, and give us a banner to say that we've been eliminated. So let's see if that works. Okay, we're in our starting area. We got a local number of 3. And max qualified at the bottom is 0 of 1. But we're not going to qualify here. We're not going to quite make it. And that did not work. All right, let's check that out. So this one here is trigger TP, and let's see and this is trigger TP. Our elimination check, let's see what's going on here. So we got trigger elimination with timer end. So timer end, trigger elimination, that should go to this asset spawner here. Trigger elimination. We didn't bring out the right one. We got to do elimination check. There we go. Wrong preset. That explains why that didn't work. Let's try that again. All right. Nice. So there you go. We didn't make it to the end of the race. The timer ran out. It put us back into the lobby and has eliminated us. Awesome. Now, if we do that again, but this time actually qualify, so we reach the end of this level. The timer actually won't reach 0. We've set it as a pause, so we can't actually check. But we got qualified, and now we need a trigger elimination. So it teleports the players that are losers at this location and teleports the winners to the next map. What's the way to do that? So the way to do that is you can't bring out a teleport from an asset spawner in-game client. It doesn't like it, and there's a few bugs with it. So I don't do it that way. What I do though is do message broadcaster with a toggle. And I just toggle these on and off. So while I'm eliminating the people that didn't make it, this will be toggled on. Then after they've been teleported out, I toggle this off and toggle on floor 2. And then I do another one that pops out and then brings players that are qualified to this area. So let me just go ahead and show that example. So this one will be on, and we can say TP lobby off. And we can have TP lobby on. And instead of trigger TP here, we can have it in the message broadcaster because we can toggle that on and off. And when we send it to here, we're going to send the message to the self, and that is TP here. And that should still work with TP lobby on because it is initially on, and we're not going to turn that off, but I'll show you that process next. So go ahead and save. All right. So we'll add a timed event. It should work, the timed event. So timed event. And what we can do here is have a trigger elimination, which is what this is, trigger elimination. It will bring out the volume, which will get rid of the people that haven't qualified. And then what we can do here is after, say, 2 seconds, we'll say 3 seconds, give it a bit of time. After 3 seconds, we're going to TP lobby off. Then after 1 second, we're going to TP level 2 on. And then after that, we're going to trigger TP, or trigger qualified, or just TP qualified, really. That will keep it easy. Oh, we do not want that. TP qualified. And that will happen 2 seconds after the lobby. So TP qualified. And what we'll do here is we need something that checks if they're equal to 1. So elimination check. What we'll do here is we don't want elimination check for, well, elimination check gets sent. And elimination check happens from this preset. So what we can do here is duplicate that. We'll have TP qualified as this one. And then we'll, instead of elimination check, we can have something else here, which is TP qualified or TP races, whatever. Any message will do as long as we use it correctly. So TP races will be the next one, and we'll save that as TP races. Make sure we change it on the actual asset spawner. So this will cover the map. And what we'll do here is we can say TP races. And it's going to check elimination check. And if it equals to 1, we're going to trigger TP. And we can duplicate this one, and we'll bring this down to level 2. It's going to use the same trigger TP with trigger TP here. And we need to turn that on and the other one off. So we've got a message here to turn off the lobby, and then we're going to turn on with TP level 2 on. So we're going to do TP level 2 on, we're going to initially have that off, and it will turn on when it's relevant. And then we're going to have a TP level 2, and we make sure that this one is targeted to the right TP. Go ahead and save that one. By the way, placed a bunch of offers in catalysts on OpenSea if anyone is trying to sell them. Nice. Are you after commons, or what's your majority that you're trying to purchase? All right, let's do this quick test. So now when I reach the end of this, it should not teleport me to the lobby. It should teleport me to level 2, but it's going to teleport everybody that hasn't qualified first, and then qualified will be teleported to level 2. So it kind of like takes it one by one. And there we go. Now that we've qualified, we're on level 2. Before it teleports us to level 2, it's teleported all the eliminated to the lobby. So this is how you move things from A to B, and move different people at different times, but they need to be done in order while keeping the same, while the teleports are in all the locations, and it has been toggled on and off based on a timer of the timed event. All catalysts, best offer on all right now. Nice. I'll have a quick look. I haven't sold any. I keep mine because I plan on buying a lot of assets when lazy minting kicks in. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Pickaxe. Yes, I see. Perfect. Nice one. Good luck. Hope you get it. 1,000 catalysts. That's close to what I've got at the moment. I got all these catalysts, but nothing really I want to mint at this stage. Only other people's assets I've bought, which don't require catalysts until lazy minting kicks in. Then you need catalysts to buy other people's assets, and that's what they're all pretty much sitting there waiting for. Haven't really checked the charts today. Let's see what's going on. Price of sand, 26. There's a bit of a dip today. Crypto's been so boring this last year. Be nice that if it was all bullish. But unfortunately, it is not all bullish. Soon you're going to be doing a mechanic, and I like it. But you need a lot of cats. Ooh, very interesting. Let me know how it goes if you need any help. More than happy to offer some logic support. I'm finishing up my experience. This will actually be my very first experience. And it's an elimination race obby type game, which is why I'm showing the logic today for it, as I've been working on it for the last couple of months or so. And it works flawlessly now in game client, so I can have 10 races race, I believe. I haven't tested it with 10, but I've tested it with 3, and it works really well. And yeah, there's 3 different levels. I have a cup game, so you can power up and have faster speeds in your race as an individual player. It's pretty cool. So now we've got a level 2 set up here. So what we want now is when players reach level 2, we want to reset the max qualifier because as you probably noticed, it still said 1 of 1. So basically all you're doing now is doing things step by step until you've got your desired logic. And the whole idea is just to alter the game flow until you have everything that you need working. So here you'll need to add something that will start the countdown timer, reset it back to 0, start the race countdown, send the message to active properties at these fences. You can just duplicate the logic and just change the you can either change the tags, but since this is only in a range and they don't reach each other, you can keep it the same. But instead of start race 1, you can do start race 2, and then you just need a message for that. And this one here will still be restart race. So when you reset the race, you want everything to go back to its original state. So that's what all of that is for. And now we need something to make your max back to 0. So we all have set number value. And I don't know what to do here. Maybe we can have a message on finish, and we can have reset stats. I don't know if that works. I forgot if the teleportation works with the rules or not on game client. I think there was a bug with it and I kind of changed it. Was it with that? Can't recall. But if we do reset stats, we want to reset the elimination check to go back to 0. So what we've done here is on level 1, when you reach the end, your elimination check turns to 1, and it sends a message to eliminate all the players that have elimination check as 0 because they didn't make it to the end, and then teleport the players that are 1 to the next area. And then once they reach the next area, we want to reset that elimination check back to 0. So if they don't make it on level 2, they'll be eliminated in the same format, taking them back to the lobby. And if they have 1 again, and then they will move on to the next level here. We also want to recalculate the qualified. So where's the so this is the elimination calculation. So elimination calc. Again, we'll see how many players are left, and then make that calculation. Pickaxe is asking, what happened to the Pokemon PvP game? That was an amazing game concept, especially now with NFT gating. Yeah, so there are still features that I need. So in 0.11, so this is it. I need a lot of logic in the rule system. And when your grid space is full, it means that it becomes very laggy and slow when you open and close the rules. So you can see how quick this is all reacting. But once you fill up this board, it becomes very slow and tedious to move things around and add more things, right? So it's all to do with the PC performance. But in 0.11, there won't be one grid. There will be a list here, and you can switch between different grids, which means that you don't have to worry about this grid board space problem anymore, because it's not going to be loading all the rules on a one grid. So you can have multiple grids, which means I can now have heaps more rules in the rule system without the performance issue. That will allow the Pokemon type game and RPGs, because I need such a vast amount of logic. It wasn't it wasn't going to work. It was going to take forever to load through the rules and all that sort of issue. So 0.11 solves that problem. 0.12 with the saving function, meaning that I can have my Pokemon keep their levels, players keep their experience points and power levels and gold and all that sort of stuff. So when 0.12 comes out is pretty much when I'm going to tackle that project, because it will have all the things I really need to do that properly. And I mean properly as in huge sort of experience, where it will take tens of hours of time to go through it. So I know the community on the forum have been very bearish. People are threatening to leave, or probably are leaving. And I know it's easy to be sad because the expectations of Game Maker aren't quite there yet. For me too. And I've been in here in the community for over 4 years now. I've been in Game Maker since 0.1, and I've seen the progression that the Game Maker has happened over the 4.5 years, and it's really, really good. In the last 12 months, we have introduced publishing to land, minting NFTs, although not ideal yet, but we still have that ability. We have a really cool dashboard now on the website. We have a gallery system where you can find games easily. We have the rule system that was introduced. We have visual effects that have been added. We've got 500 sounds now, which is cool. The product is moving forward, but it's not moving forward enough for people that want to make their living inside a sandbox, which is understandable, right? We're in a bearish market at the moment. We've got inflation. Companies around the world, especially in the tech industry, are cutting staff. So it's very doomy and gloomy. But Sandbox is progressing. They are working on products. They don't have all the stuff they need to make it all quick. So we have to prioritize which features we're going to be building in what order, and which will have a lot more impact or easiest to do. There are things that we want, but we can't do that until other things are implemented in the base of the programs. So Roblox took like 10 years of production to get to a point where it become popular enough for players to join. We're on year 4. We know what we want in the product, but it's just not going to be quick enough. And the community feel, they're giving suggestions and saying, we need this and we need that and we need this. We know, I guess, as an organization that these features are needed, but obviously there's manpower and hours needed to produce these things. They can't all be done snappy, and unfortunately that's going to force some people out of the ecosystem who are relying on this product to be their bread and butter, to pay their rent, that sort of thing. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. You may need to get a job or a side hustle while you do the sandbox, if you do want to make a living from it, while these features are being developed. I know what's coming, and I do leak a bit of things to you guys to show you that there are cool things coming, and they've always been coming. Like the rule system's been here, and these are fantastic times. They're just not there yet, but you can see the steps are there. The progression is there, but yeah, unfortunately it's just going to have to be something you deal with, or try to make ends meet while it becomes viable for a full-time business structure and monetization. Because I'd love to see everybody thriving and doing well and whatnot, but things take time to build. And there's bugs to squash and problems to solve and things like that. So yeah, I feel for you guys. At the same time, I understand where Sandbox is sitting as well and how things work there. And I can't pick sides or put up my pitchforks and torches because I see both sides. I sit on the fence. I'm pretty neutral there. So I see the community's point of view, I see the Sandbox's point of view, I see the mistakes that are made, and we understand that there's communication issues that are being fixed as well, being looked into. But everything's positive. Although there's, like, as you guys mentioned, is staff cutbacks, and, there's things that, production has to be slower because of it. But this is everywhere around the world. All organizations are cutting back and cutting off fat that's not needed, or they can't maintain. So it's a really weird situation where all these bad storms have come at the one time, and this is where we're at, really, right? And I try to keep the positivity there by leaking information of what's coming, because it's exciting stuff. Like, there's really cool things coming. There's still stuff I haven't mentioned, and it's coming in 0.11 that's really going to blow your minds. And really change the way the games are going to be made, and the way we can sell NFTs and have value for them as well is going to be new, and things are building. But not there yet. But I'm hoping that you guys can make it work and still stick around. I see it like Minecraft. I have fun building games in Minecraft back in the day. I didn't have an expectation of monetization. I did not get paid for all the hours I put into Minecraft. I did it for the love of it. I wanted to build my vision and creativity to bring it out there. And, you know, you got a server with your friends and you're building towns and cities and all sorts of things, right? But there was no expectation of money. It was just because I wanted to build something. And I'm hoping Sandbox is like that too for a lot of people, but because it's crypto related and we had all these funding, there's kind of this whole expectation of money from the Sandbox or some sort of format to do this work. And it's kind of a yeah, it's kind of a tricky thing, because when I played Minecraft, I had a full-time job. So this Minecraft stuff was what I did in my spare time or on the weekends and whatnot. So it's a bit of a mental game for yourself as well. You need to train yourself, I guess, in a way to say, I'm doing this for fun. Now I'm not doing this for income. I'll do this in my spare time because there's no way to pay my rent and bills in full in this current climate. Yeah, I don't know. Each to their own. We all have our own independent battles and things we need to do. And this is where we're at as a whole in this ecosystem. And it's not all sunshine and lollipops, unfortunately. But I'm hoping one day that it will be. And we can all build together and all make some money. You know? Team Segba says, that's why when I tried, it said user don't have enough assets. Thanks for sharing, though. For sure, a lot of new stuff, but we always want quicker than for time. Yeah, I know, mate. We all do, right? Sandbox is young, very young, and new on the tech too. Yeah, absolutely. And it is what it is, right? Pickaxe says, appreciate your explanation, CD. It goes beyond that on our point of view, but don't want to bring that up here while you make these awesome tutorials. But to say something cool, Unity 6 is coming in December, has MetaMask SDK integration. Oh, okay, yeah. So with Unity, I've already made a game in Unity. I did it last year, I think. It was the start of last year. And I was able to integrate MetaMask in the game already. So if you have that knowledge, you don't need the Unity update. It probably makes it easier to integrate because it will be like a preset sort of thing. But my dev was able to add MetaMask, bring in the NFTs inside my game and use those NFTs to battle other people. That was with Cosmic Combat. Wasn't able to afford to keep that going. But yeah, it was a fun project and was able to really do all of that already, which was cool. But just know that everything's coming together with Sandbox. It will eventually get there. And I know we all want to get there quickly. But things take time, guys. And they know what needs to be done and what we want. We've been shouting it for ages. We have meetings on this all the time. And it's coming. And it is coming. But yeah. So far now, I'm doing elimination check, elimination race. So we've added quite a bit of logic here to get like an elimination race type of game. And it's all working well. This works well in client as well. You do need to tweak things, obviously, to make it more interesting for each experience. And you do need to change certain game flows for what you want in your experience. But it's quite easy to do an elimination race. Next week, I will continue this logic and I'll show you how to reset the whole experience. If no one qualifies and everyone gets eliminated, how to do that check in the math, in the rule system, and then reset the race based on that as well. And what else do I need to show? I need to show race 3. Race 3, you only want one player to qualify and win, and everyone else gets eliminated. So you have one person that does that, teleport them to the winner's room, and then reset the race for everyone else to join. You also want here as well, I can do that now. So when you eliminate yourself, you go to the lobby, and you want to say set stats to 0. Set stats to 0, and what we do here is we duplicate. We're going to set stats to 0. We can do elimination check to 0. We also want to set the value of players joined to 0, or player number. So player number to 0. So when I get into the lobby, the number here that sets the player's number, which is normally number 3, will then turn to 0. But yeah, that's it for today's stream. And I hope you guys learnt something today, and hope I've given some information that might be useful for you that is coming or might already be here. And if you need anything, send me a message on Discord. Happy to help. And yeah, have a good day. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.